You've got some big names behind you as well, some real founders in USV, for example. Fred Wilson's on board, Gwynne Shotwell as well of SpaceX. Where are you already allocating the money? Because you've already invested in certain startups.
Yeah, we built this firm for a specific purpose, and that is to back and build companies focused on critical infrastructure and industry here in the U.S. And so that spans digital infrastructure, robotics, AI and compute, really guided by this fast-moving, fast-approaching set of megatrends with AI and compute and the power needs behind it, the reshoring and reindustrialization of global industry following COVID, Ukraine, and now a new administration, and really just the electrification of everything. So we're seeing this inflecting demand, driving this demand and supply, and it now is not only a deep need for our economic well-being, but it's also a national security issue.
Jeff, when did you conceive the idea for the firm and the fund, and when did you start building it? Because clearly this is very much in line with what this administration is trying to do in America with heavy industry of different types.
We started building this firm a couple years ago, and really thinking about the origination of the idea of backing and building in these spaces. I don't think that we could have predicted that these trends would have accelerated to the degree that they have in the last, say, 6 to 12 months across nuclear and critical infrastructure, supply chain, logistics, manufacturing. But we have both a background in investing in these themes, but also building companies in these themes. And so we're not just passive capital. We actually also roll our sleeves up.
I mean, you've invested in SpaceX. Patrick has founded a clean energy business. You've got Abijoy over from Cotu. But what of the thesis on where you invest and how you actually seed, but also co-found businesses, like a nuclear business? So what's the recipe here?
Yeah, so we're principally an investment firm. We spend the majority of our time and capital really identifying and then earning the right to back the best founders. When we have a really defined thesis, a real right to win, and a partner who is going to lead that business as the active co-founder and CEO, only then will we co-found businesses on platforms. So before we raised any outside capital, really to prove the thesis to ourselves, we made 6 investments. 5 were direct investments in companies like Base Power, Crux, Verse, Senra Systems. And then our first build company, as you mentioned, we co-founded the Nuclear Company, which is a fleet-scale nuclear developer really powering AI in large-scale industry here in the United States.
Jeff, manufacturing and growing manufacturing requires capital. It's expensive. You're looking at the early stage. So what are the innovations that you hope to find that, I guess, lower the cost of doing business in this country or something of that effect? Yeah,
absolutely. I think that when you look at just the cost of doing business in this country, when we think about the reshoring of heavy industry or critical industry, one of the things that people will point to as a major challenge is just the cost of labor. And I think that there's a lot of technological innovation across robotics and AI that gives us confidence that that is something that we will be able to compete on a global scale here domestically. The beauty of many of these businesses compared to, say, traditional venture capital, Silicon Valley style software companies is that they scale often with non-dilutive capital. So we focus on businesses that are actually highly efficient to equity and then can scale with asset capital or debt.